Never feel content about your branding, always looking at your logo and your website and just staring at it, feeling like it's never quite good enough, then fiddling around with it, constantly changing things, staring at other people's designs on Pinterest and Instagram, and just never feeling that satisfied feeling that you've got the right direction for your brand. You might find yourself saying things like, it's just too hard to design for yourself, or I just like too many things, or it's hard to encompass my whole branding into just one thing. As a creative, I know all too well how hard it can feel to tackle your own brand design. You can feel pulled in so many different directions and constantly feel like you want to change things up. So today I'm going to share with you the 4 steps that you can take if you never feel content with your branding, so that you can finally start to feel greater satisfaction and find a direction that you finally love and is the perfect fit for your brand. So if you want to finally feel at rest and really love your branding, the first thing you need to be doing is auditing your brand. You need to look at what you've got now and what's going wrong. Start finding the holes, and then we can work out where we need to go from there. Like, is this speaking to the right audience? Is it saying the right things? What message am I putting across through my branding? Is it consistent? Is it cohesive? Does everything work together to tell the right story? And does it attract the right person? It really can help sometimes if you talk to people in your audience too. Ask them what kind of impression they get about your brand, because you may find that it doesn't actually line up with what you thought you were trying to put across. It also helps to find people that are in your ideal audience but haven't seen your brand before, because then you can find out what that first impression is. Because the people that have been in your audience a while, they've got to know you, and so they sort of know your brand a bit better. But someone completely fresh, what do they think when they first see it? What do they think about your colors, your imagery, your logo, your website? All those things. What kind of impression is it giving them about you? And is it working? Is it actually communicating what you want it to? Is it creating the feelings that you want them to feel? The next step is setting a strong foundation. So now that you know what's actually going on and what people are perceiving your brand as and what it's communicating to them and making them feel, now you need to think about what you actually want it to say. That way you can make sure it aligns with what's going on right now and the direction you want to take it. So it's really important to get really crystal clear about what you want to communicate. And this includes things like your business why, your purpose, your mission, your audience, and what you offer them, and your business model, as well as how you want to make people feel and the actions you want to inspire in them. Really consider that overall story of your brand, all those elements that play into what makes it up. Once you get clear on those things, it's so much easier then to make sure that your brand communicates the right message. The next step is then understanding how to translate what you want to communicate into visual form. So that includes things like how you communicate with color, with the use of typography, with the use of layout and imagery and different design elements like shapes and lines, how they all play a part to send a message. And it's not always super obvious stuff too, like if you had a bookstore and you just put a picture of a book in your logo. It can be all these little subtle elements that play a part to create the mood and attract the right audience and tell a story. So understanding how these things work is really crucial to making sure that you communicate the right message. If you don't realize how these things play a part, then you can put across the wrong message. Or you may be just thinking about how it makes you feel and drawing on your own personal things rather than thinking about how your audience actually reacts to those things. So it's beyond just the generalized how these things work, but also how does it affect your own audience? How do they perceive those visual cues? The use of color is great for evoking emotions and also inspiring action. Color is very powerful because it's very memorable. Color is often the part that people will remember the most about your brand. So picking the right colors is really important, and that's why understanding color theory really is important for your branding. Then with things like typography, picking the right fonts can really help position your brand. It can really set the tone and help people understand the kind of business that you are and the kind of positioning that you have in the marketplace. But colors and fonts are just the start. There's so many different elements that play into the message that you put across visually. Finally, putting it all together into a brand style that has meaning. It's important, once you know all the elements you need to use to communicate your message and the message you want to communicate, that you make sure that it is all cohesive and that it all works together harmoniously. This means testing out some of your elements, putting them together in actual graphics and playing them out in real life to see how they actually look. Make sure everything works. Make sure there's nothing something missing. Maybe an extra color was needed, or maybe there's too many colors, or maybe an extra font is required, or maybe a font you chose when you actually use it in context doesn't really work. So it's really important to test it out and make sure everything works the way you want it to. It's one thing to design individual elements and another once they actually come together to create a graphic. And then of course, once you're happy with what you've got, you then need to create a style guide so that you can keep referencing it and make sure that you stay consistent, because you don't want to start adding little extra random things here and there, or getting your colors slightly off, or picking the wrong font every now and then, because then it's going to lack consistency. And it's so important when you want to be memorable that you stay consistent, because then it's going to create this really strong image in people's minds, and they're going to really remember your brand and recognize it when they see your graphics. So it's so important to really get clear about what you're using and have a reference, so that whenever you create a graphic, you can go to that reference and make sure that you keep using those same elements. And then if your business evolves and changes over time and you feel like things need to shift, you've got that one document that you can go back to and you can look at what things aren't working anymore. Maybe certain colors need to shift, or maybe certain fonts need to shift, or maybe it's just your logo needs to change. But you can really just see exactly what you've already got and make the shifts and changes you need to make, rather than just feeling like a mess and like you have to start all over again. If you'd like to learn more about this, I have a free workshop called How to Create a Compelling Brand That Connects, even if you struggle to design for yourself. So if you're interested in learning more, be sure to sign up. You'll find the link in the description box below. And if you want to keep learning more about branding, graphic design, and creativity, then be sure to subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next time.